right, everybody, what is up, and welcome back to another edition of Ask PJ Braun here at Blackstone Labs. What up?
What up?
So we've got a good couple questions here for you guys today, and we've got a couple people in the house waiting on us. Tarzan is actually in the other room just waiting on us to finish up this podcast.
Pro dodgeball player.
Gizmo said something about there being a dodgeball team that I should get on.
I didn't know that was a thing, that there's real
Professional dodgeball players?
So apparently they play on trampolines.
Oh, I've seen that.
Bounce and whip.
It's like death ball or something like that.
It's going to be on ESPN though. The World Championship, and his team is on there.
Yeah, we need to get in on that for sure.
It's hilarious.
I feel like we could do some work in that, field.
So. Blackstone's going to possibly sponsor his jerseys.
Got you. All right, so first question comes from a Legion member. She says, "Hi, PJ. Recently became a member of the Blackstone Labs. I've been working out with a personal trainer, and he's recommended some items from Blackstone to help with my weight loss. Here's my situation. I can't seem to lose the inches around my waist and thighs, which are my areas of concern. I'm 5'1", and weight is 173 pounds. I now have a waist of about 38 inches. Okay. And she lists her workout regimen, her eating regimen, and her water intake, which PJ Braun and I have already gone over. Okay. And she states that her progress, after working out for 6 months, I've lost inches from my waist. I was almost 45 inches. I've gone down one size in shorts, slacks, jeans. I still weigh the same as when I started working out 6 months ago. My dresses fit better, even though I still wear spandex or high-waist shaping briefs to help smooth my midsection. I've gained muscle and strength. I've noticed growth in my biceps because of some of my work blouses are a bit snug from the upper arm. The question is, I get discouraged when I notice other women at the gym have lost 20 pounds in a 2-month period and several inches, and I'm still at 173 pounds with a few lost inches. Everyone I ask says I'm not eating enough. What do I need to do to lose inches but at a faster rate?"
I mean, I don't know enough about what her starting pictures were, because it's possible that you put some muscle on. If you're training hard, that'll change it as well. As far as some of the trouble spots, Eradicate will help with that a lot too. But if you're not eating enough, I don't know enough about what she's actually eating, because the diet's not there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's
how much protein is she eating per meal?
Yeah, so it doesn't go too much into each meal. Consists of chicken, turkey, lean ground beef. Doesn't say exactly how much.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot in there. She's eating a lot of fruits, and working out. Personal trainer 4 times a week. Warm up for 30 minutes. Personal trainer's going for 45 minutes. Cool down is another 30 minutes. On the days she doesn't work out, she considers yard work and house cleaning as the weekend workout.
I mean, I don't know enough about what her actual diet is either. So maybe she's eating those foods, but I have to see the actual
breakdown of what she's eating every day.
I mean, listen, guys, a lot of the mistakes that people make all come down to their diet. You can train as hard as you want. You can do all the cardio that you want. If your diet is not where it needs to be, you're not going to lose weight. Now, I don't want to make people feel bad, but I was told that I had to basically crash diet because I have to look a certain way when I get to Mexico for a photo shoot. So I pulled all my carbs out immediately. It's only been 2 days, and I was down 6 pounds today already. That's just pulling my carbs out. So when you're telling me that you're eating fruits and vegetables and chicken and this and that, I don't know enough about the actual breakdown at each meal to say what is and isn't right. So if you want to resubmit it and be precise with what you're doing, I can help you a lot more.
And maybe the problem is that your diet isn't as precise as it should be for your goals. Maybe somebody's just giving you kind of like a cookie cutter diet, because that's kind of what it seems like.
It does.
Yeah, overall, and everybody's different. So just because the other ladies at the gym are saying, I've lost this much and lost this much inches and this and that, it doesn't mean that they're telling the truth, and B, it doesn't mean that they're measuring correctly or that they couldn't have done better with a non-cookie cutter diet if that's what they're using.
And everyone is just completely different. It's your own personal battle, so you can't worry about other people's fights and struggles and what they're doing. Now, again, if you're new to the game and you have a lot of weight to lose, it should come off at a decent rate. So if it's not, you have to look into it a lot more. You may even want to get your blood work done too. I always tell people, get your blood work done, see how all your hormones are, make sure everything is working properly, because if it's not, that's going to throw you off also.
Next one says, PJ, since we're in the middle of contest season, I thought it may be important to talk about the do's and don'ts of post-contest rehydration. I seem to remember Aaron doing a show and almost dying. I know it had to do with
Aaron Clark, by the way.
Sodium and potassium, IVs at the hospital without magnesium. I seem to remember alcohol post-show may have been involved. Can you talk about this topic and specifically that event if you remember it?
I don't remember the event that he's talking about.
I don't either.
He's talking about Singerman? Or is he talking about Aaron Clark?
I would think Clark, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. If alcohol is involved, that's something that I would think is more of an Aaron Singerman thing. I don't even really know much about Aaron Clark drinking.
I can't say I know either of those being an instance.
Yeah, me neither. That's the thing.
Anyways, post-show rehydration.
Drink as much water as you can.
Keep drinking that water, y'all.
Drink as much water as you can. That's the best thing I can tell you. Sorry, go
to Liquivita IV and get a rehydration.
And listen, that all helps greatly. But I tell people, as soon as the show's done, before you go pig out, before you go start killing stuff, just chug some water. If you can get a 32-ounce water in before you go eat, it'll do so much for you.
All right, next one. It says, hi, mate. What you think about SARMS? Can maybe be good like bridge between cycles after PCT. I was thinking to go Osterine MK2866 and Ibutamorin MK677 for like 6 to 8 weeks, both 20 milligrams every day in contest prep. I never tried before SARMS, so want to know they work or not. I know I can expect something special, but I want to know they work or marketing. Thank you.
They definitely work, and it's not marketing. Just go on to Google and Google SARMS. There's a Wikipedia that's got lots of information on it. My favorite one is Osterine. I love Osterine. LGD is another one that's pretty popular. Some of these new ones now I've never even heard of, so I can't speak from personal use. But, yeah, SARMS are real. SARMS stands for Selective Androgen Receptor Modulator. And to put that in a layman's sense, it's going to work with your androgen receptors the way that like a steroid will, but without the negative side effects of steroids. Now, they're not going to be as profound, but you'll get pretty damn good results.
Next one says, Mr. PJ Braun, I respect your candid approach on bodybuilding, business, and life. I also appreciate the time you take for your fans and customers. Thanks again in advance for fielding my questions. I'm 41. I've been on TRT for 15 months, 210 milligrams a week. My test is 900, and my free test is 18. I took 3 pills of Chosen One, Cardarine 20 milligrams, and MK677 20 milligrams a day for an 8-week cycle. Now my blood work shows my iron is low. When or should I expect my iron to come back up? I really enjoyed taking Chosen One. When can I go back on Chosen One? And how many times can I cycle per year? Are there any plans to make Blackstone Labs stickers or magnets? Blackstone Labs for life.
Thank you. Stickers, magnets, yes, we're always working on stuff like that. We got keychains out now.
Working on car decals. Everybody always asks about that.
Car decals.
Working on those car decals for y'all.
Iron low. That could be a thyroid related thing. I'd be curious of seeing the rest of your blood work. Tell you what, I don't do this for everybody. Can you send your blood work to PJ at blackstonelabs.com? I'll just break it down and go through it for you myself. I can't do it here on the radio because I don't have it in front of me. Your numbers for your testosterone are fine.
Or you could submit your numbers to the same email that you submitted this question to, and we'll run through it on the show. Because we've done it before, and we're going to do it again, babe.
Yep.
We're going to do it again.
I feel bad because with this particular episode, the answers, I'm not able to go real in-depth on the answers because there's just other variables coming into play that I need to know.
Is there anything you know about Chosen One affecting your iron?
No, never heard of that
Never heard of
before.
that either.
Nope.
Could be something totally unrelated to your Chosen One.
You could also try an iron supplement and see if it helps you. That's not something that men typically have to deal with, though. So, if anything, a lot of times I've seen elevated iron. But, again, check the thyroid stuff, too. See where those numbers are at.
And he says, when can I go back on Chosen One, and how many times can I cycle per year?
If you've been off of it for 4 weeks, you can, by all means, go back on. And how many times you can cycle per year? You can do it on and off as much as you want. I mean, there's no liver toxicity. If you're using HRT, you can go on and off that stuff all the time. You have to worry about the whole PCT phase.
Right.
If you're not using HRT, you're shutting your testosterone down, and then you're going to turn it back on. So this is why things have to be done a specific way.
Yeah, people on TRT, HRT usually have really good results with Chosen One Brutal Force, just because it's kind of like, if you're cruising at 210 milligrams, and you throw some Chosen One, some Brutal Force, and abnormal in there, you get a nice little boost, do a little blast cruise phase,
Yep.
And next question says, hello, PJ and Josh. I was watching your video series for the Beat PJ contest that was leading up to your final check-in, and you had mentioned that you still needed to lose a little bit of the lower back fat. One exercise that you recommended was deadlifts to stimulate the area. Are there any other tricks to eliminating that stubborn fat? I was wondering if BSL offers 5-pound quantities of isolation. The vanilla is awesome. It reminds me of homemade ice cream. Does BSL offer any gym towels for purchase? If so, I would like to get some. Thank you for your time and answering all my questions on previous episodes. Eric, Carolina Blue Vox. Sick car, bro.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's talk about the low back. Very, very difficult spot. There's not a lot of muscle back there because it's just a part of your body that's not going to be getting stimulated a lot. I mean, you just don't bend over backwards repeatedly all day long to stimulate that area. So fat accumulates there. Also, just hormonally, fat's going to accumulate there. To target the area a little bit more, hyperextensions, of course, are going to specifically target the lower back. Really, outside of that, it comes down to more estrogen-related things, aromatase inhibitors, and it's honestly just a matter of time, just putting the time in to get that to look a certain way. What was the rest of the question besides the lower back stuff?
To add on to the lower back fat thing, to be honest, I am pretty damn lean year-round no matter what I eat. And when I went into contest prep, the very last spot on my body that the fat was remaining was my lower back. Everything else was so shredded.
Yeah,
my lower back
it's so
just had
common,
a little bit of fat left on it. So it might just be that your genetics are similar to somebody like me, and your lower back is just what naturally holds it there more.
I've seen some guys get strided glutes like 4 weeks out and still holding their lower back, and to me that's like so freaking annoying because bodybuilding shows are judged by your ass most of the time. It's the weirdest thing, but it is. And so if you have strided glutes and like a little bit of love handles, you're going to be okay because you got the strided glutes. If it's the other way around, you're screwed.
Yeah.
If your lower back is feathered and crispy, but you got a little bit of fat on your butt, you're done.
Crisp.
You're done.
Yeah, and that's how it was for me. My glutes were striated, but my lower back was just a little bit watery, a little bit fat, just enough that when I hit like a rear lat spread that you could see it when my thumb's pulling. But everybody's just a little bit different.
Yep.
The other question was if we offer 5-pound quantities of isolation, which we do not. And you said it tastes like homemade ice cream. Well, then you should probably try the Blackstone Labs ice cream.
Iso cream. We may do 5-pound bags for international.
Oh.
And it's possible that we would do with 3-way also, or maybe just 3-way. But so far, it hasn't been done yet. It has been actually potentially in the works for a while, though.
It has not been done. And does Blackstone offer any gym towels for purchase? No, but you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, we've been focusing again, guys, on getting stuff like that
Look
done.
at these sweet athletic shirts. Move your phone. These sweet athletic shirts that we have.
So
here.
athletic.
Maybe we'll get a sweet little terry towel with some athletic Blackstone logoing on it.
Tristan showed me. Let me show you this before we get into the next question. Is the next one the last one? I'm going to show you something hilarious. I actually think this is a tremendous idea. This guy, I think he's like a surfer. This is really, you're going to laugh at this.
There's 2 left.
Check this out. This is like taking like comfort and fitness to a whole new level.
So this is just made to.
It's basically made of terry cloth, like a towel.
Live in.
Yeah,
You just live in this thing.
it's
You
like
just never
living in
take it
a.
off.
It's like a towel. It's like a robe, I guess.
It's so what it is imagine, for those of you that can't see, a hoodie. It's a half sleeve hoodie, but the hoodie is also a jumper.
Yep.
The legs end just below the knee. It's very baggy. It looks very comfortable. Looks like something you could immediately put on and fall asleep in. This is an incredible invention.
And it's like you can use it at the beach.
The best part is that there's pictures of people like at the beach.
That's what made me laugh. That's why
surfing
I said
with their car. Like,
Tristan said he's going to go to the gym and work out in
it
it.
doesn't matter where you go.
No,
I
guess you
wear
can
this.
use it universally.
This is appropriate apparel for anywhere.
I think it's hilarious.
Oh, you're going into outer space? Bring this thing.
It's such a burnout thing to do, by the way.
Look at
Throw
that!
my burnouts out
Look at
there.
that athletic shirt.
So athletic.
That athletic shirt is
It's a good shot.
it is. I really enjoyed that whole photo shoot. It was a lot of fun to do, and I just look like an.
I want to
absolute
know where
boss.
the commercial. They made me shoot this little commercial, this like embarrassing
Yeah,
thing, like where I got naked,
yeah.
and like Trevor was really bothered shooting it.
I'm just gonna.
That was the most bothered I've ever seen him. He was like, "We're doing this one time, and then if they don't like it, somebody else can shoot it." Like he was like standoffish to me. I'm like, "Look, I'm just following orders."
I just want to say that I'm like 99.9% sure that is all Dave's idea. He said something about that scene, and I was like, that sounds pretty good.
It's a little bit about David that I think maybe everybody doesn't really know.
It was a little bit.
Trevor was very bothered by it, though.
and I can see why. They told me I was gonna have to do it, and I was like, I feel like that's more of like a PJ or a Tristan thing.
I mean, I'll do whatever. Everybody knows that.
Like Tristan has no problem.
I have
posting
pictures of it on my phone that are fucking hilarious that like no one has seen other than I showed Salvina, but like like putting your wiener into that little sleeve that came with those pants, and it's like none of it is like hiding anything at all. So like Trevor was like, I would rather you just be naked in front of me than that.
Really?
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Excuse my language.
When I saw those pants, it immediately reminded me of. Do you remember on Jackass when they put their dick in the little thing that looked like a mouse and put it in the snake tank? Yeah. Had the snake bite their dick.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me. Just draw a little face on it and then let the anaconda go to town.
So terrible.
Oh, man. We should do that to Chris Herod.
All right, back to the serious stuff here.
All right, yeah. Get with the program. Back to the serious shit.
Fighting the clock. I think we're going to make it on time.
We fighting that clock, though. What are we on time for?
Trying to get Tarzan over to Sean Lindo over at Trainer Space by 4:30.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, yeah, we can blow through this. This one says, hi, my name is Jay. My Instagram name is Achilles the Great. I'm 21 years old and have been lifting for about 2 years. Before that, I wrestled all 4 years in high school and would work out, but the workouts for wrestling were a lot different than bodybuilding or powerlifting workouts. After high school and while in college, I focused solely on lifting weights and went from the mid-150s to the low 190s. The problem was my diet was terrible for the most part, and I only focused on gaining mass really fast, which is why I ended up with a gut and much more fat than before. I did gain a lot of strength on every compound lift, though, but it was just less lean. For the past 5 months, I've been on a bodybuilding program with a clean diet, leaned up and made great results while losing a lot of fat and replacing it with muscle. Having decent abs weighing around 186, my question is, am I still in my noob gain phase, or will it be a lot harder to build muscle from here on out as a natural lifter? I love the work you do at Blackstone Labs and will really appreciate if you can make it to this question. Thank you.
Can I make it that? Well, for starters, I try to make it to all the questions. All right. When you say, when people say clean diet, I never know what they're meaning, because a lot of times people say this, and then I look at what they're doing, and it's just wrong. The nutrition is the key to everything. This is there's a lot of people that are going over their nutrition on here, and they're not telling me what their nutrition is.
You got to lay the bricks to build a house, boys and girls.
Now, listen, here's the deal. Is it going to be harder to build natural versus non-natural? Of course.
Regardless of your diet or age or...
The problem was my diet was terrible for the most part. I always focused on gaining mass. I've been on bodybuilding programs with clean diet, leaned up, and made great results while losing a lot of fat and patient muscle and having decent abs, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know. What does he want? Am I reading it wrong?
Let me see.
I don't know. That's why I said to give it to me, because I felt like you were leaving something out.
Nope. I don't do that.
What does he want?
My question is, am I still in my noob gain phase, or will it be a lot harder to build muscle from here on out as a natural lifter? So I guess what he's saying is, because he went from the mid-150s to the low 190s eating really shittily and gaining that much, is it going to be really hard for him to maybe do another jump like that, eating cleaner and not gaining as much fat?
I mean, you're not going to gain weight like that anyway, regardless of what you're eating. 150 to 190 is a massive jump. So I'm assuming you have to assume that he got really fat. And if he didn't, God bless you, that's amazing. It's 40 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I was 130, 135 pounds, and I gained weight pretty quickly. I never got fat. I stayed pretty lean through all of it, but at the same time, I wasn't dieting ever.
I
was eating cheeseburgers.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was doing the same thing. What is he asking? Can he still gain weight eating natural? Yeah.
If it'll be a lot harder to build muscle from here on out?
I don't know how much muscle he built. He may have built a lot of fat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it's going to be harder to do it the way you're doing it.
Basically, we say this a lot. Everybody's different. Just because somebody else, has talked about a noob gain phase or something like that, that doesn't mean yours is going to be the same as theirs. Or, some people might have crazy noob natural gains for the first 2 years of their lifting career and then fall off on year 3. Other people may just continually make slow gains throughout, 5-year process. It's not something that's set.
Yeah, I don't know. How old? Do you see how old he is or no?
I mean, it said while he was in college, so I assume he's not in college
anymore.
anymore.
Probably. Just keep training hard, man. Keep training hard. Just make sure you're eating enough protein every meal, and you're going to keep gaining.
I think this is the last one. Yep. And it is from
I think I know.
none other than
The old Harida.
the girl man.
The girl man.
Hi, Coates. I think this is the first question I make that's 100% to get to know you rather than to mainly learn from you. Not considering the divorce, what are 3 situations that have made your soul cry the most? Don't worry, I will love you always, forever, near and far, closer together everywhere I will be with you. Second question is, thank you very much, Koth Josh. I'd send you video previews, etc. to explain idea, but you blocked my secret IG account. PJ, could you please recommend me what or who to contact to get the clips? Shouldn't make more than 1 minute of valuable time. Coach K, Josh, Salvania, Brittany, and you. I was thinking about asking Koth Trevor because he always has a camera. Sorry, I've been a huge nuisance for months now about clips, but this will be 10 times more pissed than Generation Iron. Thank you very much for opening your heart, mind, and time to answer all of our questions. I'm kind of shocked that I blocked the secret
girl
IG
man
account.
That's really funny.
It might be just because if you were following or liking any of my photos and there was 0 posts on it, I usually just block those.
Probably what it was.
Yeah, I just like I have, you know, for whatever reason there are definitely I have a lot of Instagram stalkers near and far, so I try to just keep all the troll accounts away from my shit.
A lot of trolls.
So 3 situations that have made your soul cry the most.
It's such a hard one to answer. I can tell you a couple of them right off the bat.
Man, this is gonna be a tearjerker.
Now I'm gonna try to I'm gonna edit this one out just because I gotta go do this workout. I want to be intense with Tarzan. I know people like it when we get all tear jerky on here. I mean, everybody knows the stuff with my biological father. You can take so many stories from that one and just combine it into one. You know, him abandoning my family when we were young and all the fucked up shit he did to me over the years. So anything with my biological father. If you want me to specify more in another episode, I will. Number 2, I actually talked about this one on one of the episodes. Was that girl, the little girl that died of cancer?
It's so funny because we went back and me and Tara watched the podcast after they're done, and we watched that one and we started watching it, and I was standing in the kitchen doing something and she was sitting on the couch, we weren't right next to each other, and by the time the story was over we were both had tears in our eyes. I was like, you stop that, you stop that right now, you're gonna make this worse.
Yeah, that one was a sad one. My grandma passing away was one of the worst things ever, and that was at the worst stage of my life too, when I started heavily drinking and stuff.
It was a rough time.
That one screwed me up for a while. One of the worst ones ever was my best friend John, and we'll close out after this. So my best friend John, he was the best kid ever, and he was just a tortured soul. So he was from Danbury, I was from New Fairfield, back-to-back towns, grew up together. He lived on the same street as my grandma. We knew each other since we were 5. And his brother James, James was the PJ of his school, and even a better athlete than me though, sick athlete. Sick baseball player, sick basketball player, sick football player. Probably the biggest stud in school. You know, everyone loved him. And then John had this nickname, Fruity Pants. And he was picked on really, really bad. And he was very not emo, but he was skater kid looking and wore Jinko jeans and had long hair and alternative. And let me tell you something. When he was in 6th grade, he was so smart. This kid took apart a lawnmower and turned a bicycle and a lawnmower into a motorcycle. He was very, very mechanically just brilliant. Eventually, he became the most famous mechanic in town, and all the kids, Team Redline kids, whatever, would come to him with their little rice burners and have him soup up their cars. He worked on specifically Hondas all the time, and it was around the time of Fast and the Furious, the first one came out, and they would come to him, and this kid would just do the most amazing things with cars. And he got really, really, really into heavy lifting and steroids, of course. And he was humongous. He was about 250 pounds, barrel chest, benching 405 for 10, easy all day, huge arms. Everybody used to call him Popeye. And he was just covered in tattoos from his knuckles all the way up. He had the inside of his mouth tattooed. He was a very, very, very scary looking dude if you didn't know him. He had a black heart tattooed on the center of his chest that just said hate through it. Very, very, very tortured soul. Outside of that, though, if you knew him, if you really, really knew him, he was the best fucking guy that you'd ever meet. And as scary as he was, I lived with my grandma until I was 25. I would like wake up. It would be like a Saturday morning. It'd be like 10, 11 o'clock. I'd come downstairs, and he'd be sitting there all scary and tattooed up on the couch with like a little saucer and a cup of tea, just drinking tea with my grandma. My grandma would be like sewing and telling stories with him. And, my grandma loved him. He was like the sweetest kid. And so he always walked around with a cigar, like a backwoods, chewed up, gross cigar in his mouth. So he got really bad addicted to Oxycontin. And he dated this really, really bad girl, and she got him even worse. He went into rehab a couple times, and one of the worst stories I ever heard was he got out of rehab, and they celebrated by her blowing out an Oxycontin with him. And he started when he was young, but he progressively got worse and worse. He was a cutter and a burner. And so I would see him sometimes when he was drunk. He'd just have a cigar just burning his hands up, and I would like slap it out of his hands. I'm like, don't fucking do that shit around me, dude. Don't do that shit in front of me. And he would just be like, I hate myself so much. I'm so ugly and so gross. I don't know why I'm alive. And he had like a very bad relationship with his biological father that was like a West Point grad, like Army guy. And just to tell you a little bit more about, I actually told this story to somebody recently about how tortured he was. One day, my mom was like, John, you're so handsome. You're such a handsome boy. And anyone who knows my mom knows my mom was like real sweet. And he was all embarrassed and stuff. And he was like, does your mom really think that about me, or is she just trying to be nice? And I was like, no, she really does think that about you. I'm like, you are handsome. And he was like, I'm just so ugly. Like, I would never think somebody like your mom would ever think that about me. And I'm like, you're not ugly, And it was hard for him because his brother was like such a stud and like so much different than him, But we loved John. Like, we loved him. And so finally, I was training for Junior USA's, and I was at Junior USA's, my first national show. I was about 25 years old, and I was all putting it all in for the show. He called me while I was out there, and this was somebody who was my training partner for years. And I was at the show, and he was so fucked up. And at this point, he got off the oxys and was just using heroin because it was cheaper. And he was nuts. He would just carry around like a bag of heroin with him. And I remember he was so fucked up when he called me one day. He was trying to say good luck, but he was just a slob. And I was like, dude, I'm busy, man. I'm at the show, And I was really mean to him. And so I went on to the show, and I didn't even think to call him back. He just wanted to say good luck, but I was a dick to him. And I wound up getting fourth in the heavyweights, my first national show. As everybody was talking to me, that's how I met Palumbo. And he was like, all right, man, this is the new good guy on the scene. And I wanted to requalify for the next year, so I started training. The following week, Jay Cutler had the New England Championship. And it was in Boston. It was a Sunday show, first week in May. And so I was like, I got to requalify. I'll just do it. I got a week to get ready for this. And so it was a Friday. It was my last workout. I was just doing like a little touch-up stuff in the gym. And I hadn't spoken to John since I went to the show. And the owner of the gym called me into his office. And he was like, hey, your grandma's on the phone. And he was just staring at the ground, like not looking at me. And so I took the phone, and my grandma was crying hysterically. And she was like, PJ. She goes, John's dead. And I was like, what? And she was like, John's dead. They found him this morning dead on some guy's couch. And what had happened was he actually didn't die from a drug overdose, but he was passed out, and he wound up like asphyxiating himself on his own like vomit. He was just fucked up from heroin or whatever, and he was drinking too, and he passed out and threw up and drowned in it. And I remember I went outside to the back of the gym, and I just started crying hysterically. I cried for like an hour, like a really, really intense cry. And I was just thinking about like the last time I talked to him, I was so fucking mean to him, And I came inside, and I was like getting my stuff to leave. And the owner of the gym, Rob, called me into his office, and he was like, what are you going to do now? I was like, go home. And he was like, but like, what's your plan, like going forward? And I was like, what do you mean, what's my plan? He's like, you're still doing that show, right? Like, you've been training for all the show. I know you're upset right now. I'm like, I don't know. I might just take a break for a while. And he goes, listen, man. He's like, John, like, hated bodybuilding. He thought bodybuilding was gay, and used to say, like, it's a bunch of guys all oiled up in underwear on stage. And he was all about lifting heavy and stuff. But when you weren't around, he would say, I hate bodybuilding, but I love PJ so much. He's my favorite bodybuilder. And he goes, you should just go and win for John, like, for his memory. And I never won a bodybuilding show before, and I went in the show that weekend, and I won for the first time ever. And I remember when I won, I kind of like just looked up at the sky, and I walked off the stage, and the promoter of the show was like, I've never seen anybody like so not happy about winning. And I was like, my best friend just died. And the guy was like, oh. And that was the first time I ever talked to Jay Cutler, had like a nice talk with him backstage. And came home, and that Monday was his wake. And my family told me they lied about the time because I was like so out of it, was like exhausted. And they were like, oh, the wake is at this time. And they actually lied. They told me an hour different. So in reality, they actually all went before I even got there. So I got there, and there was like a line of people, right? And it was crazy. There was a line of people like all the way down the road. All these people that I'd never met before. And it was all these car people. Like all these like Asian kids and people from gangs and stuff that had like brought their cars to him to work on the cars. And it was such a great like sign of like respect. Like I know that he thought so many people didn't like him. Like he would have been so like proud to see this, you know? And when I went in, they had like this TV playing, and it was like all these pictures like over the years, like stuff of us when we were like little kids all the way up. And it was funny to see the progression of him like getting bigger and more tattoos as he got older, and like stuff of us just together. I walked in, and I went over. I'm very bad with death, very, very bad with death. And I walked over to his casket. My family was gone. They didn't want to see me there. Now I'm a lot easier with my emotions than I was back then. Like I don't mind crying now. I'm actually crying a little bit right now during this show. But like back then, I was real hard. And my family just didn't want to see how I was going to respond. So they got in and out before I even got there. And I just laid on his chest. And I just started crying. And I was so fucking mad at him. And I was like, why did you do this, man? Like, why the fuck did you have to do this? And I cried for a while. And his mom, she put her arm around me. And she was like, we always said that you're the only person that John really loved. And it made me so fucking sad that I didn't like try to help him more. And like his brother was never the same. His brother felt like we didn't help him. We didn't try to help him more. It took a lot of like burden over that. His brother, like I saw him like a little while later, he had like fucking crazy beard and like lost all this weight. And he got obsessed with like, he was working on this car. John had this project car. And his brother got obsessed with like finishing the car for John. Like he never recovered from it. After that, for every show I ever did, I used to always carry my journal with me, and I carried a picture of John in every journal that I ever did, and I brought it with me to every show that I ever did. And whenever it got like real tough at the end, I've never ever cheated on a diet once. I've never missed a session of cardio, even when I had things broken and in pain, and never missed a workout. And that's stupid in some ways. But I never, ever backed down, ever. And I always would say, like, when I was in my like, biggest struggle, I would say to myself, like, John, please just help me for this last part, man. And I remember there was a day where it was, like, my last session of cardio, and I was so fucking dizzy. My mom was, like, not wanting to come around me because I used to push it way too hard when I was competing. My face was like a skeleton, not like all these fat kids that compete now and don't get in fucking shape anymore. And I was like getting so lightheaded and dizzy, but I would not stop doing my cardio. And it really didn't matter at that point, you know, it just didn't matter. But all I was thinking of was overwhelmingly thinking of John. And the last like minute or two of my cardio, I did it outside that day. I was getting closer to my house. And as my house got closer and closer, I just started crying more and more and more as I got to the house. It wasn't like crying like pain or anything. It was more like crying like I fucking did more than anybody else could possibly fucking do for this show. Like, there's no way that anybody worked harder than this. Maybe somebody worked as hard as this. And I always like felt like John like carried me through at the end. And that took me a long time losing that kid. Like, I never really had like a best friend the same way ever again. Even with my old scumbag piece of shit partner, Aaron Singerman, like me and him were boys. Me and Singerman were like brothers, but it wasn't the same. Me and John loved each other. And like John was like, he was the perfect like little sidekick for me because like all the things that I do, like that people think are funny or don't think are funny is weird. Somehow like he was always like the opposite, but we like matched perfect. So like, you know, I do a lot of gay shit. And he was like very like not homophobic, but it made him uncomfortable. So he would come to like pick me up for shit to go to the gym, and I'd be like fresh out of the shower, and I'd like meet him in my towel. I'd be like, hey, I just got out of the shower. Just wait a minute. Just wait for me in my room. And he'd be like, why do you want me to wait for you in your room? I'd be like, just come getting ready, wait for me in my room. And he would like go and sit in my room, and like I would walk into the room and just like drop my towel, and he'd be like, what the fuck? And I'd be like, what? Come on, you've seen it before. And he'd be like, stop, you're so fucking gross. And I would go and like try to get on him, like while I was naked. I'd try to grab him and shit, and he would freak out and like punch me. But he would be smiling the whole time. And that was just like how our relationship was. There was a time where I was working in the club. We all bounced in the same club. He was head of security. And this dude was like mouthing off to me. And John came over. And he said something to the dude, and the dude was like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? And said some shit that like, I don't know, John just didn't like it. And it was like in a matter of like 3 seconds, John wound up knocking out like 3 dudes, like boom, 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 like real fast. And I was like, whoa, Jesus Christ, someone had a bad day today? And he was like, I don't like the way that guy was talking to you. I was like, well, I would have handled him fine myself. Now you beat up his friends too, and now the police are probably going to come. But we just had like the most unique, like tight bond. And, you know, there was times too where like, I remember this one time he was so fucked up. I don't know what drugs he was on, but he was like, he was crying, and he was like, I just want to make sure that I'm your best friend. I was like, you know you're my fucking best friend. He was, you like my brother more than me. And I love your brother in a different way. And he was like, I'm not cool like my brother, or funny like my brother, or good athlete like my brother. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. Like you're the best guy ever. You know, people love you. You just don't see it. And nobody could help him. He really was beyond anyone's help. I learned that later in life. He was beyond anyone's help. And so that to me was one of the things, like you know, what screwed with my soul, made me cry. That one for years really, really got me. Every show towards the end, because of him dying right before that show that I did, always got me. And I don't really talk about him anymore. He, you know, it's died when I was 25 years old. But you know, I have to take that with me forever. The first show I ever won was 2 days after he died, and like in his honor. So sorry for fucking putting everybody in a depressed mood after the quick questions.
That was definitely a good one. I think that we added to that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that story before. I don't think that's rare for me. I've heard them all. You guys are just getting double up and triple up. So I could tell some of these stories.
Yep.
But not that one. I didn't know
that one got me a little bit. I'm a little choked up and stuff now. So
definitely.
Yeah, well, that sucks. All right, I gotta go work out.
Well, I think on that note, we got through all of them, and I'm just gonna go cry a little bit.
Sorry,
and just, you know, I got some shit I gotta take care of.
Make sure that if that one, the podcast, when you watch it with Tara, be ready for that one.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think we're just gonna skip this week's, because you know it's probably just easier. Yeah, you know, cry here, go home, cry at home on the couch. No. At least I can have cereal while I'm there.
I can't even have cereal now, so I'm crash dieting for the listeners out there. So Fabian comes up to me.
Dude, this is so
I'm
funny.
down 6 pounds in 2 days, by the way. It's how I do shit. So Fabian is like, Papi, I have good news and I have bad news. And I was like, well, give me the bad news first. I got loads of bad news lately. Might as well add it on. And he's like, the bad news, you have to start dieting right now, today. I was like, really? I'm like, nobody's going to tell me when and where I'm going to start dieting. But
matter of fact, 10 minutes ago.
yeah, I was like, all right, well, I'm laughing. I'm like, that's probably not going to happen.
If you could uneat the shit you just ate,
yeah, I've
that.
been eating donuts and shit because I'm all about. So right now I'm pretty solid, and so I'm trying to get big because my muscles come back a lot. Then I'm in like this growth mode, and I'm like taking glycolog, a little bit of insulin here and there, just going all out. And I'm doing zero cardio, just training harder than I have in a while, getting big. And he goes, the good news is the reason you have to diet is because you're going to shoot for a magazine in Mexico. We're going to keep you there an extra day, and they're going to do a bigger purchase order, and you're going to shoot for the magazine. It's going to be all over Mexico. And I was like, oh, fuck, geez, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's only 20 days. I'm like, how much can I do in 20 days? Like, oh, come on, you're the master. You can do it.
blast the trend.
So I was like, shit, all right, I guess I got to go hard. So I freaking pulled out all my carbs. I'm down 6 pounds already. It's not even 48 hours. It'll be 40 hours in a few hours from now, actually.
He's already in 14 recomp hours.
No, my dad was like, your face is skinnier already. And I was like, I'm starving myself out. So, yeah, I am crushing recomp, though. I'm doing 6 recomp a day.
16 recomp a day.
On that note, I think we're done, right?
I think we can go ahead and close it out as we always do with a peace out. Bye.